In this presentation, we'll go over how to research a topic for a writing assignment and find sources to use as support. By the end of this presentation, you should be able to define academic research and understand why it's important, choose a topic to research, conduct preliminary research, write a working thesis, understand the difference between primary sources and secondary sources, find physical and electronic sources through a library, and conduct specific research to support a working thesis. First, let's talk a little bit about what exactly academic research is and why it's important. Academic research entails studying a topic closely in order to learn more about it and to contribute to the current critical and academic conversation on that topic. In other words, being a student requires you to not only learn and discover new knowledge by finding out what's already been said about a topic, but also to add your own ideas and arguments to the existing knowledge on that topic. You can accomplish this by reading from a variety of sources, taking note of different perspectives, and deciding what position you believe makes the most sense. With enough careful study, you may be inspired to share new ideas on the topic that have never been shared before. There are a few steps you should take before you begin your research. If the goal of your research is to write an essay, you should start by establishing a writing ritual, reading the instructions of your writing assignment carefully, and making a schedule for writing that includes the 5 steps of the writing process. You can find more details about the writing process in my presentation called The Writing Process. Reading the instructions carefully will give you an idea as to what type of essay you should write, whether it's a report, an analysis, an argument, etc., what your topic will be, what style or format you should use, what kinds of sources you should use as support, and how long your essay should be. Additionally, the instruction should get you thinking about your rhetorical situation by helping you establish your purpose, audience, and tone for writing. Making a schedule for your writing project helps you break your project into manageable steps and prevents you from procrastinating. When creating your schedule, set aside time for the following steps, which we'll go over in more detail in a minute. Choose a topic, conduct preliminary research, narrow down your topic, develop a working thesis, complete the invention or pre-writing step, conduct specific research to support your working thesis, and finally, structure, draft, revise, and edit your essay. After making your schedule, it's time to choose your topic. Sometimes you will be assigned a particular topic to write about, while other times you'll be free to choose your own. If given a choice, be sure to choose a topic that interests you, one that could give you experience in your major or career, or one that you feel passionate about. If you find the subject boring, your attitude will surely be reflected in your writing, and your audience will likely be bored too. If your topic is assigned to you, try to find an aspect of that topic that appeals to you. For example, if you're told to write an essay about sports, but you have no interest in sports, consider writing about diversity in sports, the educational value of sports, or video games as a sport. Once you've chosen a topic, the next step is to do some broad preliminary research on your topic. Remember that the purpose of academic research and writing is to add to the existing conversation on your topic. But before you can dive in and start writing about your topic, you have to become familiar with what's already been said and what's currently being said about it. While conducting your initial research, you should keep an eye out for specific aspects of your topic that you feel are the most interesting and intriguing to you personally. This will help in the next step when it's time to narrow down your topic. A great way to start your preliminary research is to do a search for your topic on Wikipedia. Though Wikipedia is not considered a reliable source to use as support in your writing because it's open sourced, written collaboratively, and not peer-reviewed, it can be a fantastic way to get an overview of your topic. For example, if you want to write about climate change, you could do a search for the keywords climate change on the Wikipedia website. The main Wikipedia page for climate change begins with an overview of the topic, which defines it, briefly goes over its background and history, and discusses some of its major causes. After the overview, you'll see a table of contents with subtopics on climate change, such as observed temperature rise, the effects of climate change, and the responses to climate change. If you're interested in writing about how we should respond to climate change, you could click on the Responses subtopic, which will take you to that section on the page. Here, you can learn about the different types of technology that can be used to mitigate climate change, such as bioenergy, geothermal energy, and hydropower. If you want to learn more about each of these technologies, you can click on the links provided within the Wikipedia article. For example, the linked word hydropower will take you to a separate Wikipedia page dedicated to hydropower. The superscript numeral after the word hydropower will take you to the footnotes at the bottom of the page where sources that are referenced in the article are listed. Most of the time, the sources listed in the footnotes are considered scholarly and are peer-reviewed, so they could potentially be used as support in your writing. If you find particularly helpful sources while conducting your preliminary research, write them down so that you can come back to them later. You can click on the links provided in the footnotes to read the sources if they're available for free to the public, or you can use your library's catalog or research databases to search for the sources by author or title. We'll go over how to use your library's catalog and research databases later on in this presentation. So, while Wikipedia itself is not a good source to cite within your writing, it's a great resource to help you become familiar with your topic, and it can lead you to sources that you can use in your writing. Additionally, it can help you narrow down a broad topic like climate change into a more specific topic like technology used to mitigate climate change. Similarly, you can use the website procon.org to become familiar with your topic. This website provides overviews of current arguments on popular controversial issues and breaks them down into lists of pros and cons in order to present both sides of each argument. Like Wikipedia, procon.org provides clickable links within the text that bring you to a list of sources that are referenced in the article that you can potentially use in your essay. Also like Wikipedia, procon.org should not be used as a source within your essay, but it can be used to help you become familiar with the current critical conversation on your topic, help you decide what stance you want to take on an argument, and lead you to sources that can be used in your essay. Another great source to help you learn about your topic is the research database called Issues and Controversies, which may be available to you through your school's library. Doing a search for the keywords climate change on this database leads you to a list of results that discuss various arguments on the topic. For example, the first page on the list of results posts the question, should the U.S. government take aggressive steps to combat climate change? You can click on the title to read more about this argument. This page provides background on the topic and discusses the viewpoints of both the proponents of the argument and the opponents of the argument, so you can get a feel for what's being said on both sides of the issue. You can also click on the tabs at the top of the page to see a list of primary sources on the topic, media sources, infographics, and even editorials and news articles, which can all potentially be used as support within your writing. Issues and Controversies is a wonderful resource that is especially helpful when writing an argumentative essay and can help you find sources for your writing and decide what side you want to take on an issue. Next, you'll narrow down your topic and write a working thesis. After you've conducted your preliminary research, you should be more familiar with the critical conversation, what's already been said and what's currently being said about your topic. Now it's time to join the conversation by narrowing down your topic and taking a position. Narrowing down your topic will depend on your purpose for writing and the allotted length of your essay, details that are usually indicated in the instructions for the writing assignment. The average undergraduate academic essay generally runs from about 3 to 10 pages long, so you'll need to make sure that your topic is narrow enough to be thoroughly discussed within that length. For example, the topic climate change by itself is too broad to write about in 3 to 10 pages. You could write an entire book on this topic by going into detail about its history, its causes, its effects, steps that should be taken for mitigation, and various other viewpoints about what should be done about it. If you attempted to write a 3 to 10 page essay on a topic this broad, you would not be able to go into depth on any of your main points because you would greatly exceed the page count. On the other hand, it is also possible to narrow down your topic too much. For example, writing about the effects of climate change on the electric bill at your house is too narrow. With this topic, you might find yourself struggling to write enough material to reach the assigned page count, which would become obvious to your reader since you'd be forced to include a lot of unnecessary filler words and phrases, making your essay boring and hard to read. Therefore, it's important to narrow a broad topic down to one that is specific enough for the assigned length of your essay. Some examples of narrowed down topics on climate change for an academic essay of average length might be how deforestation contributes to climate change, how climate change affects sea levels, or how to mitigate climate change through renewable energy sources. These topics are specific and manageable, not too broad and not too narrow. Now that you've done some preliminary research and narrowed down your topic, the next step is to write a working thesis. In academic writing, a thesis statement is a single sentence that states your claim and lists your supporting reasons, and is typically the last sentence of your introduction. The average academic essay uses about 3 supporting reasons to back up the claim. Every word, every sentence, and every paragraph of an essay should work to support the thesis in some way. A good thesis will possess 4 qualities. It will be interesting, clear, arguable, and specific. A working thesis is a thesis that's used to get you started on developing your essay. As you continue to research your topic, you may find new evidence or viewpoints that inspire you to make changes to your thesis. An example of a working thesis on climate change for an argumentative essay might be, climate change can be mitigated through the use of alternative energy sources such as bioenergy, geothermal energy, and hydropower. This thesis is interesting because it focuses on a topic that is relevant in the world today, which means that it should captivate your readers and make them want to learn more. It's also clearly written and easy to understand, and it's arguable because it takes a particular position on the topic with which the reader can agree or disagree. Finally, it's specific because it focuses on a narrowed down topic and lists 3 particular supporting points that can be thoroughly addressed in an academic essay of average length. Using your working thesis as a guide, you can move on to the invention or pre-writing step of the writing process. There are several techniques you can use for this step, but one that is particularly good for researching is the KWL chart. Make a chart with 3 columns. The first column is the K column, or the What I Know column. Here, you should briefly list everything you already know about your topic. This information could come from what you learned about your topic while completing your preliminary research, or it could come from what you've seen or heard in the media or in everyday conversations. You can use bullet points to keep track of this information in the first column, or you can try free writing about the topic here. The second column is the W column, which stands for what I want to know. Here, you should make a list of questions that you have about your topic, or points that you want to know more about. Perhaps your preliminary research didn't quite give you enough detail, or maybe you've had conversations with people on the topic that left you confused or made you want to learn more about it. The last column is the L column, or the What I Learned column. After you conduct more specific research on your topic in the next step, you can come back and fill out this last column. As you read through your sources, you should use the questions from the W column to guide and focus your research, searching for the answers as you go. Creating a KWL chart can be a great way to track what you learn as you complete your research and can help you stay focused on particular aspects of your topic. Now you can begin conducting specific research on your topic. Conducting specific research and finding sources on your topic is probably the most time-consuming step of the writing process. However, the more time you dedicate to this step, the easier it will be to write about your topic in the drafting step. Start by reviewing the instructions for your writing assignment to see what types of sources you're expected to use in your essay and how many sources and citations you're required to include. For example, some assignments require you to use peer-reviewed sources only, like academic journals, while others allow you to use websites, editorials, and personal experiences as support. In academic writing, you will generally use two kinds of sources: primary sources and secondary sources. Primary sources are derived from original, first-hand information. Some examples of primary sources are speeches, historical documents, government or legal documents, original art or literature, diary entries, letters, scientific studies, surveys, and interviews. Secondary sources, on the other hand, are second-hand sources that are focused on describing, analyzing, or interpreting primary sources. Some examples are literary analyses, academic journal articles, and book, movie, or literature reviews. Here are a few other examples. The Constitution is a primary source, whereas an academic journal that interprets the Constitution is a secondary source. The poem, The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost, is a primary source, while a literary analysis on that poem is a secondary source. A presidential election poll is a primary source, while a newspaper article that analyzes the results of that poll is a secondary source. While you can use both primary and secondary sources as support in academic essays, it's important to verify that any secondary sources you use are considered reliable. For more details on distinguishing between fact and misinformation in evaluating sources, see my presentation called Evaluating Sources. Additionally, don't forget that all sources should be read rhetorically. Before reading, you should adopt a skeptical mindset and preview the text to get a feel for what you're about to read. Then, you should read the text thoroughly, annotate the text, and finally, reflect on what you've read. For more details about reading rhetorically, see my presentation called Reading Rhetorically. To save yourself a lot of trouble and time, you should come up with a system for organizing your sources before starting on your research. Here are a few methods you could use. First, if you have access to cloud-based online storage, such as Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive, you can save digital copies of your sources there. This option is especially helpful if most of your sources are electronic. In addition, several apps and programs are available that allow you to annotate sources digitally. Those that prefer hard copies can print out electronic sources, staple the pages together, and annotate them directly on the page. Write a short summary at the top of the first page, highlight lines that you think you could use as support in your essay, write questions in the margins or add them to your KWL chart, and circle words and allusions that you're unfamiliar with. If the bibliographic details of a source aren't included in your printout, be sure to write down the information you'll need to cite your sources later on. You can also use a word processing program like Microsoft Word to keep track of your sources. For this option, you can type out or cut and paste each source's title, author, and other bibliographic details, write a short summary of the source's overall claim and supporting points, and make a note about how you think you can use the source in your essay, or copy and paste lines that you'd like to quote. Be careful though. If you copy any lines from the source, be sure to put quotation marks around them to remind yourself that they are direct quotations and not your own notes, and write down the page number. Similarly, you can write out source details by hand using pen and paper instead of typing them into a word processor. Finally, if you prefer physical sources, such as books from the library, use tabs to mark passages that you think will be helpful to your research, and write notes and summaries on sticky notes. Remember that starting your research with a good plan for organizing your sources will save you a lot of trouble when it comes time to write your essay. Students who don't organize their sources often end up forgetting where their quotations come from, or having to read their sources over and over again. Libraries have everything you need to conduct your research. Whether you prefer physical sources or electronic sources, your school's library is a great place to start your research, and your librarian can help with both options. Most libraries have reference librarians who can help you find sources specifically for your research topic and save you a lot of time and hassle. Libraries can also serve as great places to study and read your sources, and usually offer study rooms and quiet spaces to work, along with computers, printers, and other valuable resources. You can visit the library in person to find physical sources such as printed books, journals, encyclopedias, magazines, and newspapers, along with audio and video sources. Most libraries have an electronic catalog of all of their physical sources that can be easily searched by keyword, author, title, or subject. Search results include descriptions of the sources and call numbers to help you locate them on the library's shelves. Ask your librarian for a tutorial on how to use the library's electronic catalog to find sources. Then ask for a tour or a map of the library so you can locate them. If you prefer printed, hard copy books, you can often find an entire section of books dedicated to your topic in the library. It's easy to browse through books quickly by scanning the table of contents in the books and reading chapter or article titles that may be relevant to your topic. Or you can flip to the index in the back of the books to search for key words. Additionally, oftentimes scholarly books and articles will cite from other related sources that are also documented at the end. Following a trail of sources can save you a significant amount of time and effort when researching. Feel free to take advantage of other people's hard work whenever you can. Libraries also provide access to a wealth of electronic sources through the library's electronic catalog, research databases, and online subscriptions to journals, magazines, and newspapers. Sometimes full copies of e-books, along with government and legal documents and audio and video sources, can be accessed through the library's electronic catalog without having to visit the library in person. The library's research databases can also be accessed from home. Research databases are online listings of electronic sources that contain a variety of scholarly journal, magazine, and newspaper articles, along with e-books and video sources. Most libraries allow you to search for research databases by title or by subject. If you're not sure what database to start with, Academic Search Complete is a great first choice, as it provides access to thousands of full-text, peer-reviewed articles across multiple disciplines. JSTOR is another good database for finding quality sources on a variety of subjects. Gale in Context, Opposing Viewpoints is a good option if you want access to various sources on current issues. There are also lots of databases dedicated to other subjects like literature, business, and the sciences. Additionally, your library may have subscriptions to popular online journals, magazines, and newspapers that you can access through databases such as ProQuest. Before you can get started finding sources through the library catalog or through the research databases, you'll need to come up with some keywords on your topic to use as search terms. Using keywords that are too broad in the search bars of catalogs or databases will likely give you very broad results. For example, a search for the words climate change in Academic Search Complete produces over 200,000 results. To find more specific results, you'll need to come up with more specific keywords. First, take a look at your working thesis. Then, underline the words you feel are most important. Usually these are nouns. Let's use this thesis as an example. Climate change can be mitigated through the use of alternative energy sources such as bioenergy, geothermal energy, and hydropower. Here, you might underline the words climate change, alternative energy sources, bioenergy, geothermal energy, and hydropower. Using a database like Academic Search Complete, try typing some of these terms in the search bar. A search for alternative energy sources gives you over 38,000 results. To narrow these results down even more, click on Advanced Search. Advanced Search lets you add more search boxes so that you can search for additional keywords along with your original keywords. By adding bioenergy and climate change underneath alternative energy sources, the database will now search for sources that contain all three of the keyword phrases that you entered into the three search boxes. This new search gives you 255 results. Notice how the database also gives you options to limit your results to only sources that are full text, peer-reviewed, and published within a specific date range, such as within the last 10 years. By doing a new search with these changes, you get 59 results, which is a much more manageable number of sources to sort through compared with your first search. Since the results are listed by relevance, you can quickly scan the titles of the first several sources listed to determine if they are relevant to your research. The results page also shows additional information about the sources, such as the authors' names, when and where they were published, and whether or not they are available as full-text articles. If you click on the title of a source, you will be brought to the source page, which often offers an abstract or summary of the source. If you think the source has potential to be used in your research, click on the full-text link to read it. Keep in mind that similar keywords can be used if you don't find good results in your first search. For example, instead of alternative energy sources, you could try renewable energy. Instead of bioenergy, you could try biofuel. And instead of climate change, you could try global warming. Finally, you can also search for specific sources by author or title by using the drop-down menu next to the search bar when doing an advanced search. For example, if you found the title of what you believe would serve as a good source for your project in your Wikipedia research, but weren't able to access it for free on the internet, you could try searching for it by typing the title into the search bar and selecting Title from the drop-down menu. If you don't have any luck finding the source in one of the research databases, try searching for it in the library catalog instead. Aim to use a variety of sources as support in your essay. Using a quotation from a subject matter expert can help to build your essay's credibility, while using statistics from a scientific study could help appeal to your reader's logical side. Don't forget that you may need to find a source that you can use to provide context or background on your topic for your reader, and you should also be able to discuss opposing viewpoints if you're writing an argumentative essay. If information from your sources inspires you to ask additional questions about your topic, add those questions to your KWL chart and do more research if necessary. As you research, think about the significance of your topic. Why does your claim matter, and how does it affect you, the people you care about, and the people who are going to read your essay? Think about how you can synthesize the ideas expressed in your sources in order to highlight your own ideas on the topic. Simply repeating what others have already said does not do much to add to the current academic conversation on your topic. Remember that your ultimate goal in researching and writing should be to share your voice and your ideas, and maybe even make a difference in the world you live in. After completing your research, take a few minutes to reflect on what you've learned about your topic. Fill out the L column of your KWL chart by writing down what you learned from your sources and answering your questions from the W column. Are the answers different from what you expected or surprising in some way? Did you learn more than you set out to? Does any of this new information make you want to change the focus of your essay? Next, take a look back at your working thesis. Did your research reveal information that makes you want to tweak the wording of your thesis? Did you find a supporting point that was more interesting than one of your original points, or discover that one of your points is not as strong as you thought it would be? More importantly, does your overall claim still hold true? Sometimes more detailed research may cause you to take a different stance on your topic altogether, and that's okay. It's easy to make adjustments to your working thesis at this stage, and you likely learned enough about your topic from your research to develop new points if necessary. After reflecting on your research, you can move on to the final steps of the writing process, which are covered in more detail in my presentation called The Writing Process. Structure your ideas by creating an outline for your essay. Your introduction should end with your thesis. Each body paragraph should start with a transition and a topic sentence that introduces each of your supporting points. Depending on your purpose, your topic, and the type of essay you're writing, you may need to include context or background on your topic along with opposing viewpoints. Your supporting points should be backed by the evidence from your research. When drafting your essay, use either summary, paraphrasing, or quoting to integrate source material into your writing. Remember that quoting should be used most often, but keep in mind that quotations should only make up about 10 to 15% of your overall essay. Introduce quotations with signal phrases that provide information about the source. End your quotations with citations, and include the full bibliographic details of your sources at the end of your essay. For more details on integrating sources, see my presentation called Integrating Sources, and for more details on documenting and formatting your sources, see my presentation called Documenting and Formatting Sources. Don't forget to revise your essay as well. In this step, you may again find that your thesis needs to be adjusted to better reflect your claim and main ideas. Remember that experienced writers use revision to make improvements and spend significantly more time revising than drafting. Finally, finish your writing project by editing your work. Let's review. In this presentation, we discussed the definition of academic research and the reasons why it's important, how to choose a topic to research, how to conduct preliminary research, how to write a working thesis, the difference between primary sources and secondary sources, how to find physical and electronic sources through a library, and how to conduct specific research to support a working thesis. Thanks for watching.